Similarly, Kenyan President Ruto has also faced suspension for graft in the past while serving as a minister. As per reports, in the first 6 months of his presidency, he spent more than $11 million on receptions, parties, and other hospitality supplies.
It's astonishing, isn't it, how a man who claimed to be a hustler, the champion of the poor, has stand out to be the grand master of a scheme designed to enrich the wealthy while burying the poor and middle class under piles of suffocating policies? William Ruto, known by his critics as Zakayo, for reasons that should be obvious to anyone who has cracked open a Bible, and also Kasongo or Congo, has mastered the art of promising prosperity while ensuring the masses sink deeper into misery. Let's take a closer look at the carefully constructed house of cards that is his leadership. SHA, a healthcare system designed to fail. The Social Health Authority, SHA, universal healthcare, more like universal theft. The idea that SHA is supposed to provide healthcare for all is laughable when you realize that the people in charge are more interested in lining their own pockets than in helping Kenyans. Contracts for medical supplies, hospital renovations, and staffing will all go to politically connected cartels, while ordinary Kenyans continue to die from preventable diseases. Kenya's healthcare system is already on life support. Public hospitals are overcrowded and understaffed and underfunded. Doctors have staged numerous strikes over unpaid salaries, lack of essential medical equipment, and deplorable working conditions. The Kenya Medical Practitioners and Dentist Union, DKMPDU, has repeatedly warned that without urgent intervention, the country's healthcare sector will collapse. Yet instead of fixing the system, Ruto's administration has introduced SHA, an autocratic monster with no real plan to help the sick. We've seen this before with NHIF, a national health insurance fund, a fund meant to provide affordable health care but turned into a cash cow for corrupt officials. Millions of shillings meant for sick Kenyans vanished into the pockets of well-connected elites. Now SHA is supposed to repeat the same corruption cycle, forcing Kenyans to pay more for a system that won't deliver quality health care. Meanwhile, Ruto and his allies will continue seeking world-class medical care in Dubai, London, and India, while the rest of us are left waiting in endless hospital queues for paracetamol if we are lucky. SHA isn't about universal health care, it's about universally exploiting Kenyans. The housing levy to taxation, SHA the Bukai Kana Thenya, disguised as a solution. Ruto's housing levy is another sparkling example of his benevolent leadership, or so he wants you to believe. He's convinced Kenyans that taxing an already overburdened population will solve the housing crisis. But let's be honest, as this isn't about providing homes for the poor. It's about creating lucrative opportunities for rich developers while forcing ordinary Kenyans to fund a real estate empire they'll never benefit from. The government claims that this levy will build low-cost housing for the masses. But who is actually moving into these homes? Certainly not a common Mona Nunche. Instead, the rich snatch up these properties, flipping them for profit, while Kenyans who funded the project through taxes are left to struggle with high rents and even higher costs of living. The housing levy is nothing more than a glorified tax break for developers, disguised as a solution for the poor. And in case you're wondering, you won't be getting a luxury apartment. You'll be lucky if you get a crumbling bedsitter with no water. The CBC education disaster. Then there's the competency-based curriculum, CBC, one of the most confusing, expensive, poorly executed education reforms in Kenyan history. For a country struggling with high unemployment and extreme poverty, you'd think the priority would be strengthening the education system, not complicating it further. But instead of improving public education, Ruto's administration thought it would be more fun to force a rushed, poorly planned curriculum on Kenyan students and parents. CBC demands expensive materials, additional private tutoring, and costly projects that most parents can't afford. While wealthy families easily navigate the system with private tutors and exclusive schools, the poor are left scrambling to make sense of an education system that is setting their children up for failure. Education should be a great equalizer, but under Ruto, it has become a privilege reserved for the rich. The university funding crisis, our higher education for the elite only. Public universities, who once the pride of Kenya, are now on the verge of collapse thanks to funding cuts and skyrocketing tuition fees. The government has made it clear education is no longer a right, but a privilege, then only the rich deserve it. HELB, Higher Education Loans Board, has slashed its allocations, leaving thousands of students struggling to pay fees. Universities are drowning in debt, and the government solution? Push students to take loans they'll spend their entire lives repaying. Meanwhile, Ruto's children and the children of the elite are tucked away in prestigious institutions abroad, ensuring they get the best education while Kenyan universities fall apart. It's a deliberate assault on the future of Kenya. By crippling public universities, Ruto's administration is ensuring that only the rich can access quality education, while the rest of us are left with a broken system that leads nowhere. The grand illusion, Ruto's true legacy. Every policy, every so-called reform, every new initiative under Ruto's government has been carefully designed to enrich the wealthy while keeping the poor and middle class trapped in a cycle of poverty and dependence. The philosophy behind his leadership is clear: planner for the rich, socialism for the middle class, tax them to fund schemes they'll never benefit from. Bare minimum for the poor, keep them struggling just enough to be grateful for scraps. And the most brilliant part to Ruto's strategy, the distractions. Whenever things get bad, the government rolls out a new buzzword to bottom-up economy, shared prosperity, hustler empowerment, while quietly looting the country behind the scenes. What can Kenyans do? This government is not going to save us. The same people rubbing us blind cannot be the ones to fix the mess they created. Kenyans need to wake up. This is no longer about political party loyalty or hustler versus dynasty narratives. This is about our survival. The solution: this government needs to go. Not in 5 years, not in the next election, but now. We cannot afford to sit back while our future is stolen in broad daylight. Kenyans must speak up to demand accountability and refuse to be silenced. Share this video, start the conversation, organize, because if we don't fight back now, we risk losing everything: our homes, our healthcare, our education, our future. Kenya deserves better, and it's up to us to make that happen. Conclusion. The policies under President William Ruto's administration, including the SHA, housing levy, CBC, and university funding cuts, appear to disproportionately favor the affluent while marginalizing the poor and middle class. This approach has led to widespread disenchantment among Kenyans who feel betrayed by leadership that promised inclusivity and prosperity. Addressing these systemic issues requires a collective effort to demand transparency, equitable resource distribution, and genuine commitment to uplifting all segments of society.